Empty your mind, my friend, and you will discover that it was never truly empty at all, but rather filled with the wrong things. You see, the majority of men and women walk through life carrying burdens that do not belong to them. Their thoughts are cluttered with regrets of yesterday, fears of tomorrow, doubts about themselves, and the noise of other people's opinions, and yet they wonder why their lives remain stagnant, why their energy is drained, why their opportunities slip past them unnoticed. It is because their minds are crowded with confusion. The greatest gift you can give yourself is to clear the mind, to release the unnecessary, and to make room for new thoughts of power, courage, vision, and faith. There is a law of nature that does not permit two opposing things to occupy the same space at the same time. Just as darkness flees when light enters a room, so do doubt and fear vanish when faith and clarity take their place. The human mind is no different. If you fill it with worries, there is no room for creativity. If you fill it with criticism, there is no room for confidence. If you fill it with excuses, there is no room for action. Therefore, if you truly desire transformation, you must first create space. Empty your mind of the destructive and plant the constructive. Empty your mind of failure and plant victory. Empty your mind of fear and plant faith. Think about the farmer who prepares his soil before planting seeds. He does not scatter seeds on top of rocks, weeds, and hardened ground. No, he takes the time to till the soil, to remove the weeds, to break the hardness, to prepare a fertile environment so that the seed can grow into harvest. Your mind is the soil of your destiny. If you scatter seeds of ambition on ground crowded with fear, doubt, and mental clutter, do not be surprised when nothing grows. You must prepare your inner ground by emptying it of all things that do not serve your higher purpose. The greatest obstacle to human achievement is not a lack of resources, not the absence of opportunity, not even the cruelty of circumstance. It is the inability to control the battlefield of the mind. Every great invention, every great fortune, every great achievement was first conceived in the silence of an uncluttered mind. To think clearly is the starting point of power. To think deliberately is the foundation of progress. To think in harmony with one's vision is the root of success. But to think clearly, one must first empty the mind of confusion. Ask yourself, how many hours of your life have been wasted thinking about what others think of you? How many moments of energy have been stolen by rehearsing old failures and mistakes? How many opportunities have been missed because your mind was too busy doubting when it should have been acting? The truth is, most people do not fail because they lack talent or potential. They fail because their minds are filled with distractions, because they have allowed mental weeds to grow unchecked. They have never taken the time to empty the mind and take authority over it. The discipline of emptying the mind is not about weakness or passivity. It is about mastery. It is about refusing to carry what does not belong to you. It is about setting down the weight of the world so that your hands and heart are free to grasp opportunity. The man who cannot let go of the past cannot reach for the future. The woman who cannot release fear cannot embrace faith. The individual who clings to excuses cannot seize discipline. Emptiness is not a void. It is a doorway. It is not an absence. It is a preparation for abundance. You must understand that your mind is like a great reservoir. If it is filled with muddy waters, you cannot expect to draw from it the refreshment of clarity. But when you allow the sediment of negativity to settle, when you release the streams of doubt, when you pour out bitterness and regret, then your mind becomes clear like still water. From that clarity comes ideas, solutions, and visions that were always waiting for you, but hidden beneath the noise of confusion. The greatest leaders, the greatest thinkers, the greatest builders all had this one ability. They knew how to empty their minds so they could think purely, powerfully, and purposefully. The man who rises early and sits in silence, breathing deeply, allowing his thoughts of worry to pass, discovers that peace is not something outside of him, but something within him. The woman who refuses to dwell on insults or gossip, but instead empties her mind of their poison, discovers that confidence is not the approval of others, but the acceptance of herself. The person who learns to quiet the storms of fear, to empty the mind of the voices that whisper failure, discovers that courage is not the absence of fear, but the mastery of it. Emptiness, therefore, is not weakness, it is the very foundation of strength. Consider this truth: the mind cannot create greatness while it is chained to small thinking. A cup that is already full cannot be filled again. If your mind is already full of doubts, how will you receive inspiration? If your mind is already full of excuses, how will you accept responsibility? If your mind is already full of fear, how will you recognize opportunity when it comes knocking at your door? You must empty the cup so that it can be filled with something greater. The act of emptying is not a loss, it is a preparation for abundance. Most men spend their days reacting, not creating. They react to the news, to the opinions of others, to the circumstances that unfold around them. They fill their minds with the chatter of the world until they can no longer hear the quiet voice of their own vision. They become slaves to the noise. But the individual who chooses to empty the mind, who chooses silence over noise, who chooses reflection over reaction, begins to operate from a place of creation. He no longer moves according to the pull of the world, but according to the push of his own vision. That is the difference between the common life and the uncommon life. Emptying the mind requires courage, for it demands that you let go of attachments. You must release your attachment to being right, to being approved, to being safe in your comfort zone. You must release your attachment to the failures of yesterday, for they no longer belong to you. You must release your attachment to fears of tomorrow, for they are illusions that only rob you of today. You must release your attachment to limitations, for they are chains forged not by reality, but by belief. And when you release these things, you will feel a freedom you never knew existed, a freedom to think, to dream, to act without the weight of unnecessary burdens. Do not mistake this for idleness. Emptiness is not laziness. It is the preparation of the mind for higher work. It is the sharpening of the axe before the swing. It is the clearing of the canvas before the artist begins his masterpiece. It is the tuning of the instrument before the symphony begins. Those who rush into life with cluttered minds often exhaust themselves in confusion. Those who take the time to empty the mind move with power, precision, and direction. The one appears busy but achieves little. The other appears calm but accomplishes much. When you empty your mind, you create a vacuum, and nature abhors a vacuum. That vacuum will be filled with what you choose. If you do not choose deliberately, it will be filled by accident, with the opinions of others, with the noise of society, with the chaos of circumstance. But if you choose deliberately, you can fill that vacuum with faith, with vision, with clarity, with determination. This is the secret of mastery, not to let the world fill your mind by default, but to empty it and then refill it with intention. That is the foundation of power. Imagine the possibilities if you practice this daily. Imagine starting each day not with the noise of yesterday, not with the burden of fear, not with the clutter of other people's voices, but with an empty, clear, receptive mind. Into that mind you could pour affirmations of strength, visions of success, plans of action, and faith in your destiny. Imagine the energy you would carry, the clarity with which you would act, the confidence with which you would move. This is not fantasy. It is available to you if you will discipline yourself to empty the mind. You cannot add greatness to a crowded schedule of mediocrity. You cannot build success on a foundation of excuses. You cannot live with power while carrying the dead weight of doubt. You must empty yourself of the unnecessary, so that the necessary can grow. Life rewards those who prepare themselves, and preparation begins in the mind. When your mind is clear, your vision becomes sharp. When your mind is clear, your actions become decisive. When your mind is clear, your spirit becomes unstoppable. When you examine the lives of those who have risen above mediocrity, you will see a common thread running through their stories. They learned how to detach themselves from the endless chatter that clogs the minds of ordinary people. They learned to silence the noise long enough to hear their own inner voice. They emptied their minds of the doubts imposed by society, and in that silence they found the strength to create, to lead, to achieve what others thought impossible. The world is full of men and women with potential, but only a few ever realize it, because only a few ever take control of their thoughts. Potential without a clear mind is like a lamp covered in dust. It holds light, but that light cannot shine until the dust is wiped away. Every day you are presented with two choices. Either you allow your mind to be filled by the world, or you decide to empty it and fill it with your own purpose. The average man listens to the opinions of 10 others before he listens to his own. He scrolls through noise, consumes distractions, and then wonders why he cannot concentrate on what matters most. His mind is not his own. It has been rented out to everything and everyone. But the man of destiny, the man who knows where he is going, makes his mind sacred ground. He does not allow weeds to grow in it. He empties it of poison and fills it with clarity, discipline, and vision. That is the secret that separates the drifter from the builder, the follower from the leader, the average from the exceptional. Ask yourself, what burdens are you carrying today that are not yours to carry? Whose opinions are living rent, free in your mind? What fears have you allowed to take root, even though they are based on nothing but shadows? Every fear, every regret, every unnecessary thought is like a stone placed in your backpack, and then you wonder why the climb feels heavy, why progress feels slow, why success seems far away. The climb itself is not the problem. It is the unnecessary stones you refuse to lay down. Empty your pack. Empty your mind. Set down what does not belong to you, and you will discover how light the climb becomes. You must understand that life is not as complicated as people make it. Success is not complicated. Wealth is not complicated. Peace of mind is not complicated. What complicates life is the excess baggage carried in the mind. Remove it, and clarity will reveal the path. Most people fail not because the path is hidden, but because their eyes are too clouded to see it. A man with clear vision will accomplish more with little resources than a man with clouded vision will accomplish with much. Clarity is the multiplier of power, and clarity comes from emptying the mind of clutter. There is immense strength in simplicity. When you empty your mind of unnecessary noise, you begin to see that the simplest truths are the most powerful. Focus on one aim, one vision, one burning desire, and remove every distraction that does not serve it. The scattered mind is weak, but the focused mind is irresistible. When the sun's rays are scattered, they bring light but not fire. But when concentrated through a lens, those same rays can ignite flame. Your mind is no different. Empty it of scattered thoughts and focus it like a lens, and you will set fire to the world with your vision. This act of emptying is not something you do once in a lifetime. It is a daily discipline. Just as the body must be cleansed, the mind must also be cleansed. Every morning, every evening, you must release the unnecessary. Pour out resentment before it festers. Pour out fear before it roots itself. Pour out negativity before it multiplies. In its place, plant gratitude, plant confidence, plant vision, plant faith. Do this consistently, and your mind will become a garden of power, a reservoir of strength, a source of unshakable peace. And from that state of clarity, nothing will be impossible for you. The greatest tragedy is that many never realize how powerful they could become if only they would stop holding on to the clutter. They waste their best years in a mental fog, chasing distractions, repeating the same cycles, carrying wounds from the past that should have been released long ago. They allow every insult, every disappointment, every failure to remain lodged in their minds like thorns, piercing their confidence and bleeding their energy. Yet liberation is only one decision away, the decision to empty the mind, to release all that is unworthy of remaining, and to invite only what contributes to growth. The truth is simple. You cannot walk into tomorrow holding hands with yesterday. You cannot step into opportunity while dragging the chains of doubt. You cannot rise if your wings are tied down with the weight of mental clutter. There is a subtle deception that convinces people they must hold on to everything: the memories, the regrets, the grudges, the opinions, the fears, as if letting them go would leave them weaker. But it is the opposite. The moment you release what does not serve you, you step into strength. The moment you drop the burden, your pace quickens. The moment you clear the fog, the path reveals itself. And what is more, the act of emptying makes space for new wisdom, new relationships, new opportunities that could not have entered until room was made. Many complain that opportunity never visits them, but in truth, opportunity came and found no space to stay. Only the person who clears the room of his mind can invite opportunity to sit, to stay, to grow. Consider the architect who wishes to build a new structure. He does not simply stack new bricks on top of old ruins without clearing the ground first. No, he demolishes, he removes, he clears space so that the new foundation can be laid properly. So too must you act with your mind. Demolish the ruins of doubt, clear the wreckage of failure, remove the clutter of small thinking. Then you can lay a foundation strong enough to build the life you desire. Without this act of mental clearing, every attempt to build will be shaky, temporary, and destined to collapse. But with a mind that has been emptied and prepared, even the tallest structure of success can be built with confidence. You must become ruthless with the thoughts that do not serve you. Do not give them shelter, do not entertain them, do not feed them. When fear whispers, do not give it attention. When doubt knocks, do not open the door. When regret shows its face, do not invite it in. Empty your mind of them and replace them with faith, determination, and vision. For every negative thought you release, plant a seed of power. For every distraction you remove, establish a focus. For every fear you let go of, affirm a belief in your destiny. This is how transformation begins, not in the outer world, but in the inner chamber of the mind. The man who masters this discipline becomes untouchable. The storms of life may rage, but his mind remains clear. Circumstances may shift, but his focus remains steady. Critics may speak, but their words find no soil to take root. He is free because he has emptied his mind of all that is useless. He carries no burden that is not his own, and therefore he moves swiftly, confidently, with the lightness of one who knows exactly where he is going. And when others look upon him, they will marvel not at his luck, not at his resources, but at the clarity and certainty with which he walks through life. The truth is simple yet profound. The mind is both your greatest servant and your most dangerous master. If you allow it to remain cluttered, it will drag you into confusion, fear, and stagnation. But if you discipline yourself to empty it, to release what is useless and embrace only what fuels your vision, you will step into a freedom and power that most people will never taste. The act of emptying is not about losing. It is about making room for the life you truly desire. Empty your mind of the noise, and you will hear your true voice. Empty your mind of the doubts, and you will find courage rising within you. Empty your mind of fear, and you will see faith take its rightful place. When the mind is clear, the path is revealed. When the mind is uncluttered, progress becomes natural, and when the mind is empty of weakness, it can be filled with strength. So make this your discipline, your daily practice, your lifelong commitment, to empty your mind, and in that emptiness, to discover the fullness of your destiny.